Okay, so, adjectives and nouns, how are they going to agree?
Gender, number, and case.
Gender, number, case, but not declension. Because remember, nouns will stay in their declensions. They never change declensions. And adjectives also will stay in their declension. Now, how many noun declensions are there?
5.
5. Okay, and how many adjective declensions are there?
2.
2. Excellent. 2. Okay, noun declensions are called first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and the 2 adjective declensions are called first and second declension, and those have the exact same endings as first and second declension nouns. And then we have third declension adjectives, which are very similar to our third declension I stem endings. Okay, like parse. Okay, so the only difference would be in the ablative singular. In masculine, feminine nouns, there's an I, and then neuter has some differences. There's an IA. Okay, so today we're going to start verbs. Okay, and I love verbs. That's like my favorite thing of all. But before we do that, let's just do a little bit of translation review. Okay, actually, let me see if you guys have any questions. Okay, from your work that you did last week. Does anybody have any questions on what you did? I'm not giving you a long bit of time, so it's now or...
So third declension, because I don't know if y'all covered this last week. Third declension, masculine and feminine, are those always the same?
They're the same. Okay, in two terminate. Okay, so third declension adjectives are going to end up having different terminations, and that's endings. Okay, some will have one termination. The third declension adjective that we learned last week had 2 terminations. Okay, like fortis, fortet. Okay, and you saw the masculine and feminine were exactly the same, and then you had the neuter. Then there's also third declension adjectives of 3 terminations. Okay, those will only differ in the nominative singular. Okay, but they will, so that's why it has 3 terminations. Okay, but otherwise, yes, for your...
Up to this point. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so let's start with the bottom sentence. Do you have any other questions, Kelly? Okay, the bottom sentence, okay? Now, we want to translate this. So if you just look at that as a whole, is that fairly easy for you to translate? Right? Anybody? You got, what's a verb? Orange, right? And we see it's, right now we don't have verbs. A few minutes we'll get them. We see that it's third person plural, so we're looking for a plural subject. Do you see one? Christiani, subject. Do we have a direct object? We're always looking for verb, subject, direct object. Is there a direct object up here?
Brothers?
Okay, so you want to talk about fratribus?
No, I'm not trying to.
Okay, what's the word in front of that? What's the word right in front of fratribus?
We have
What kind of word is this? Anybody know what we're going to call this kind of word? Like we have nouns, we have verbs, we have adjectives. Preposition.
So that is prepositional phrase.
So that's a prepositional phrase. Now, if we didn't know that was, we could also look at ibus and say to ourselves, is that an accusative case ending? Because if it's not, guess what? Right? It's not direct right now. Okay, there are some that will have dative objects, but we don't know that right now. So, okay, so this is a prepositional phrase. So what about bony? Can that be a direct object? Because what is bony? Adjective modifying what? Christiani. Okay, this time it's easy because the endings look the same. So that's kind of nice. So does anybody want to translate this one? Be brave. Start with the subject. Now, when we're I kind of like looking at it to see what we got going. We start with the verb, okay? But then when we're going into English, I want to encourage you because these sentences are going to get longer and longer. Am I right about that? Oh, yeah. Like super long. Like I mean, like we're talking 3 or 4 lines, okay? That you have to kind of, okay? But if when you're translating right now, you always just go subject, verb, direct, object. Okay, if you've got that. When you're ready to translate it and you've kind of identified everything, when you go subject, verb, direct, object, everything else tends to fall in. I'm really being honest about this. Okay, so what's your subject here?
The Christians.
And
The good Christians.
The good Christians. Now we're going
Pray.
verb. Pray.
For their brothers.
For
For brothers. For brothers. Good Christians pray for brothers. Okay? See how that goes? So you don't want to read left to right. Okay? Although your eyes, at first, when you look at the sentence, they'll scan that way. Am I right about that? You're going to scan this way as you're looking at it as a whole. But when you start to translate it and read it, your eyes are going to learn how to look for certain things. Okay? And I promise that. So now let's look at the next one. What are we going to look at first? Verb. So what's the verb on this one? Okay, with end. Okay. And we say to ourselves what? Right now, just right now, we only know two things about verbs, whether they're singular or plural. That's all we know. Okay, so what is this? Plural. Okay, so we're trying to look for a plural subject. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, do you see a plural subject? Okay, so if you don't see a plural subject, what would you do with that verb then? They. Okay, so you could say, okay, I'm going to make this they see. Okay, so now what's your direct object? Remember, verb, subject, direct object. So what's going to help you knowing what your direct object is? What's going to help you to know what word up there is your direct object?
Find your subject.
Okay, and we're just assuming that this is they is your subject. Okay, so now how do we find a direct object?
The ending.
The ending. It's all about the endings. Okay, so we have to look for, and if you don't know them all, just like in your mind right now already, you take out whatever chart you're using, whether it's a chart your tutor gave you, whether it's this little trivium table. I gave you one also. Okay, whatever works best for you. Okay, then you look at it and you say to yourself, I got to find something that has accusative case, whether it's singular or plural ending. Boom, look up here. What has homonym? Okay, there is your direct object. EM is third declension accusative singular. It showed on your chart, didn't it? Okay, good. So now we have subject, verb, direct object. Okay, but we have some more words that we want to kind of ID. Okay, so what are we going to do with fortem, sanctum, and omnes? What kind of words are they? Do you know?
Fortem is an adjective.
Okay, adjective. Okay, so what's it modifying?
Homonym.
Homonym. You can see that. Okay, accusative, singular, masculine. Okay, next one we'll deal with sanctum. What is it modifying? Is this one just a little bit harder? But we're doing the same thing. We're doing gender, number, case. So if you look at sanctum, okay, we see that it's, and if you were to look at you can still use your noun table, okay? What case is this? Remember, it's a first, second declension noun, adjective, rather. So remember, okay, your first, second declension adjective are declined just like your first, second declension nouns. So where do you see the UM? It's accusative, right? Accusative, is it singular or plural? Singular. Okay, and it can be either what genders?
Masculine or neuter.
It could be masculine or neuter. Okay, but you only have one noun to modify, right? Okay, homonym. So it's going to be masculine. Okay, so now I kind of put this one up here for a little bit of a trick. What are you going to do with this? What kind of word is omnes?
Adjective.
Adjective. What is it modifying?
They.
Yes, yes. They. Yes, very nicely done. It can't, why can it not modify homonym?
It's plural.
It's plural, okay? And remember, nouns and adjectives have to agree number, gender, case. So it cannot modify homonym, okay? The only other noun that's left for it to modify is your subject, they, okay? So anybody want to try to translate this? I know somebody does. Anybody at all? What are we going to start with? They all see. And what do they see?
Brave and a sanctum.
Oh, sanctum. What does sanctum mean?
You know what it means.
Holy.
Holy, yep.
Brave and holy men? No.
Okay, so she said they all see brave and holy men. Would anybody like to tweak that just a little bit? Is it brave and holy men? Okay, it ends in EM,
Man.
a brave and holy man. That's right. So you see, it's all in the endings. Okay, if it was going to be brave and holy men, this would be as, this would be as, and this would be os. Okay, so anyway. Okay, so that's kind of how you attack it. You know, rather than just writing up what every word means and making the best sense of it. Okay, you really can tell by the endings. Yes.
If this is switched like you just did to make it plural, could omnes have modified homonym? And
Oh,
do they see
Abso-
all the brave and holy men?
absolutely yes.
Okay.
Yes. So then, and that's a good point, because your students will do that, and there will be sentences like that. And you have to know that they are right. Okay?
Either way is right.
But either way is right. But I always want to encourage them to be able to tell you why they're right. Okay, so you might mark it wrong, and sometimes I mark things wrong on purpose on people's papers, so that I hope they go look at it and come back and say, wait, I'm right. Okay? So usually nobody looks back at their paper. But I give grades, so it behooves them to look at their papers. Okay? Anyway. I thought of something I wanted to say. Oh, except one of the things I do want to say, now we know Latin word order is really kind of flexible. You know, it's changeable. So omnes, if it was modifying homones, where would it be?
That would be at the beginning.
It would be even before homones, because you remember, adjectives of quantity go before the nouns they modify, and adjectives of quality go after the nouns they modify. Okay, so anyway, there you have it. Okay, we're going right to verbs. Okay, that's the whole reason I'm recording this thing, and I've done 13 minutes, no verbs. Okay, sorry about that review there. Okay, so we're going to verbs. Okay, who wants to tell me what a verb is? Oh, I don't think my essentials girl is here today. What's her name, Mallory? Yeah, she last week, man, she knew every grammar answer. Okay, so what, but you guys know what a verb is, right? So what's a verb? An action word or a state of being, right? Okay, we already know one, sum est, sumus est sunt. Okay, that's our state of being verb. Okay, I am, you are, he, she, or it is, we are, y'all are, they are. Okay, so a verb is an action word or a state of being. Okay, now nouns we put in families, and what are those families called? Okay, hold on, I got this going to drive me crazy. Okay, nouns are put in families called declensions. Anybody know what we put verbs in? Families? Conjugations, yes. Conjugations. Hey, that word kind of means to hang together. Ooh, conjugation means to hang together. Okay, how many conjugations are there? 4. Yes, 4. And what are they called?
First, second, third, fourth.
You got it. First, second, third, and fourth. Excellent. Okay, now, do you remember we talked about nouns having characteristics? They're going to have declension, number, gender, case. Okay, verbs also have characteristics, and they are going to have 6 characteristics. Okay, so we can say every verb has 6 characteristics. And this is the first one, conjugation. So verbs, I wish I was taller. 6 characteristics. Every single verb. Okay, conjugation. Now I'm going to put these all down and we'll see what you have for me. Okay, we might not get them in order. Okay, so what else do you think verbs have besides conjugation? They do have endings, that is right. Verbs do have endings, okay. What else do they have?
Tense.
They do have tense. We're going to put that one down here. Okay. What else?
Persons.
Person. Okay. And you know what we call the endings? Like nouns or case endings? And Peter, verbs are personal endings. Okay, so because they have person as opposed to case, we call their endings personal endings. Okay, so what else we have? Conjugation, person. No cheating, looking it up. Okay, so they have something similar to nouns.
Singular plural.
Okay, we'll call that number. Good. Okay, conjugation, person, number, tense. Now these last two might be a little bit harder. Joseph's trying to tell us them. Should we just let him give it to us, or does anybody have anything you want to pull up out of your mind?
Go for it.
Insert?
What?
Insert? Maybe?
Well, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. I just couldn't hear you. I'm going a little bit deaf, I think. Joseph.
Mood and voice.
Voice and mood. Yes. Awesome. You know, English has these same things. Okay? The English verbs have the same thing. We just don't talk about them. Okay? One of the great things about Latin is we learn more about English in Latin than we do in English. Okay? So honestly, it's true. So if you're looking for any good reason to learn Latin, it's so you understand your language better. Okay? Because it really, really is true. We're not talking about what is a direct object, what isn't. I mean, we kind of do in CC. Okay, but that is rare. Okay? Very, very rare that you're really breaking down these sentences and understanding why you're saying what you're saying. Okay, it gets really interesting when we start talking about pronouns and relative pronouns and when to use who or whom. Okay, Latin just makes it so clear. Okay, but we don't know how to do it in English. But once you learn it in Latin, then you're more likely to use it correctly in English. So there's just one plug for Latin. Okay, so person. How many persons in a verb? 3, right? What are they?
First, second, third.
First, second, third. Excellent. First person is the person doing it. Second person is the person you're talking to. Third person is the person it's about. Okay? Number, what do we have? How many?
2.
And what are they?
Singular and plural.
Singular and plural. Excellent. Tense. Anybody know the tense? Or are we going to Joseph?
Present.
Okay. Oh, start listing them. Good. Present.
Present. Imperfect.
Good. Imperfect. What do you got next?
Future.
Excellent. Okay, by the way, those 3 tenses make up your present system. Okay, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, we have 3 more tenses. Anybody know what they are?
Pluperfect.
Okay, that's the second one. Okay, so let's just drop the plu off. Okay, and we'll call it perfect. Okay, pluperfect and...
Past.
Oh, you know what? Past is kind of like the perfect. We're not going to use the word past in Latin. Okay, so we're just gonna do away with that. We're gonna call that perfect. Okay, and we're gonna talk lots about this whole idea of what verbs mean. Perfect, pluperfect. Future perfect. Thank you. Future perfect. And those 3 tenses make up the perfect system. Okay? So you're going to have the present system and you're going to have the perfect system. Okay? Now, Also, we have voice. Oh, so that's 6 tenses in case you like numbers. Okay, so voice, how many voices are there? Same in English and Latin. Tense is a little bit different, by the way. Okay, so I'll just tell you, only have 2 voices. Okay, we have active voice and we have passive voice. Okay, if you are teaching challenge B this year, you're going to need to get to passive voice. Okay, we won't get to it here in the summer. But anyway, I do have videos up there on it. Mood, Joseph? Oh, good, good. For once, I can have him thinking about it. Okay.
Tell her the moods.
Oh, it's all right, no pressure. Okay, I'm going to just tell you 3 moods.
Yeah.
Okay?
Subjunctive, indicative, and active.
Okay, we already got active there. Indicative mood. We have the subjunctive mood. And then we have the imperative mood. Okay? So indicative mood is just your mood of statements and questions. Okay? Subjunctive has to do with wishes and conditions. And Latin uses a subjunctive way more than English does. Okay? It uses a subjunctive when we would use infinitive, for instance. Okay? And then imperative, from the Latin word impero, okay, which means to command. Okay, so that is the mood of commands. Okay, so there, every verb. So, okay, well, we're going to talk about today first 2 conjugations. Okay, this is lesson 9 and lesson 10 in your book. Okay, we'll get to all 3 persons, singular, plural. We're only going to do the first 3 tenses, the present system, active voice, indicative mood. Okay? But every verb that we put up there, and I'm just going to use, what did we have? We had would, right? Now I can tell you just by looking at this verb, everything, all 6 of those things. I can tell you, first of all, the conjugation is second. Okay? I can tell you person, NT, that's going to give me third person. I can, same NT gives me plural. Okay, I can tell you tense now. That's present tense, active voice, and indicative mood. And you'll be able to do that with every verb. Okay? And that's why Latin, they're going to say look at the verb first. Okay, because you're going to ID those things about the verb. Okay? Now, and today you can stop right after this, because everything is going to be active indicative. Okay, so you don't have to do that. But they're going to say, tell me the forms of a verb. And this is what it means to tell the forms. Give me the, well, you don't have to particularly give the conjugation. I think it's a good idea, in your mind at least, to know what conjugation that verb belongs to. Okay? And there's kind of ways to tell. Okay? But then you can always do person, number, tense. Every single verb. Okay, so you're going to have lots of exercises like that today. So I'm going to erase this whole board, and we're going to start with first conjugation. Now, does anybody know how you can tell what conjugation a verb belongs to? Remember, how could you tell what declension a noun belong to?
The endings.
The ending of
Singular.
genitive singular ending tells you your noun declension. Very similarly, we can tell our verb conjugation. Okay, okay, so I'm going to write up our model. Okay, so our model for first conjugation is laudo. Nouns you get nominative and genitive. Verbs you get something called 4 principal parts. Okay, laudo, laudare, laudavi, laudatus. Okay, the way you tell what conjugation a verb belongs to is you go to the second principal part. Okay, so we're going to go to the second principal part and look at that. What does the second principal part end in? What? I want to make sure I do this according to this book. What does the second principal part end in? Say it loud. A-R-E. The second principal part ends in A-R-E. All verbs of the first conjugation end in A-R-E in their second principal part. Okay, so that is something you want to memorize. All verbs, and you're going to read this as you read whatever you do. Don't forget to read your lesson this week. All verbs of the first conjugation end in A-R-E in their second principal part. Okay? Now, Peter, you got a chart back there, right? Why don't you tell us, before we move on, what each of these things mean? You know, everybody has kind of different charts, right? Maybe your tutors give you different charts, or you could look in the grammar book. In fact, let's just do that. I want to show you where we're at in the grammar book. So take your grammar book, and I want you to turn. Now you have to flip past lots of things to get to the verbs. All sorts of pronouns. Okay? And I want you to turn with me to page 41. Okay? All right. And it's going to, I'm showing you this because I really want you to be able to look at this as you're working on verbs. Okay? This thing right here, okay, this first one is just like with nouns. You're going to take that one and you're going to stick it in the first place. Okay? It is the first person singular present tense. Okay? This one, anybody know what this one's called? It's called your present, what?
Present infinitive.
Infinitive. Okay? And remember, it tells you what conjugation your verb belongs to. This case is A-R-E. Okay, this is your first person singular perfect tense. Okay, we'll talk about that at a later date. I just want you to know what they are. And this one right here is your perfect passive participle. And you can ignore that for a while. But what you can't ignore is when you memorize your verbs, you got to memorize all four principal parts. Laudo, laudare, laudavi, laudatus. Paro, parare, paravi, paratus. Okay? Now, first conjugation, almost all of them have the endings of o, are, avi, atus. Okay? Almost all. There's a few exceptions. Okay? So at least this one, as long as you know o, are, avi, atus, you can just put those endings if you know you have a first conjugation verb. Okay? So let's just say this together. Ready? O, are, avi, atus. O, are, avi, atus. O, are, avi, atus. Okay, so now with verbs, we're going to have person. 1, 2, 3. We're going to have singular and plural, just like nouns. Okay? Now, we just take this one and we stick it in that first spot. Laudo. Okay? We do that just right off the bat. It's always going to go right there. Now to get the stem, remember we took off the genitive singular ending? Okay? What are we going to take off here? We're going to go take off the ARE. Okay? And then we have our stem. Loud, 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 loud. Now, every conjugation has a stem vowel that kind of goes and it indicates what conjugation you're working with, okay? So now, what would you guess the stem vowel is for first conjugation? Go ahead and tell me. A, okay? You can see it right there, okay? So the stem vowel for first conjugation is A. So except for this place where there's no A, we're going to stick an A there. Okay, so you're going to have a stem and a stem vowel. Okay, I'm trying not to, usually I'd use different colors, but none of the other colors are showing up on the video, so I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so we have laudo, and now we have stems with stem vowels, and now we're gonna put on our personal endings. Okay, so our personal endings are O-S-T, mus, tis, unt. Again, O-S-T, mus, tis, unt. Again, O-S-T, mus, tis, unt. And you guys all know those already, right? So luckily, we got the O, S-T, mus, tis, unt. Bam. You already knew those endings, so it was super easy to remember and put them on, okay? So let's just review. Second principal part gives you your stem. Stem vowel for first conjugation is A, and then you just go O-S-T, mus, tis, unt. Any questions so far? Yes?
O, isn't it O or N?
It is. You mean as if we were reciting? But, okay, so let me talk about that for just a second. Okay, so if you look at your charts, you're going to see O-M-S-T, mus, tis, unt, right? Sometimes you'll use the O, and sometimes you'll use the M. But depending on what tense it is, you'll never use both of them. Okay, so you have a choice. So for present tense, our choice is the O. Okay? In just a couple of minutes, I'm going to give you the imperfect tense, and it's going to be the M. Okay? When we tend to learn the endings, we go O-S-T, mus, tis, unt. But honestly, it's O-M-S-T, mus, tis, unt. Okay? So, anyway. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to translate this, because there are 3 ways to translate the present tense. Okay? 3 ways to translate present tense. It's not true of every tense, thank goodness. So I'm just going to do the first person singular. 1, 2, 3. So give me one way. This word means, does anybody know what laudo means? Praise. So what's one way we can translate laudo in the present tense? I praise. Yep. We call that the simple present. I praise. Okay? Anybody know another way to translate the present tense? Okay, we're just going to stick with the first person.
Just first person. Okay.
Just first person. Okay? So I praise. Go ahead.
I am praising.
I am praising. See, it's still happening right now. I am praising. I might be praising again still in 5 minutes. It's progressive. We call this the progressive present. So simple present, I praise. Progressive present, I am praising. It's kind of like a continuation. And does anybody know the third one?
Just say.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, okay. Anybody know the third one?
It can be emphatic. I do
Emphatic.
praise.
I do praise. Thank you. I do praise. Okay, we call that the emphatic present. And also this is often the one we're going to use for questions. Do I praise? Do you praise? I mean, you can also say, are you praising? But this is more often used, the emphatic present. Okay? So we can do that for you. You are praising. You praise. You do praise. He, she, it praises. He is praising. He does praise. You see, they work for each one of those. Okay? So now what I want you to do is I want you to take the verb. I better make sure it's one you're getting right away. Oh, you already know this one. Oro. What does oro mean? Pray. Okay? I want you to conjugate oro, orare, orawi, oratus in the present tense. Okay, so on your paper, go ahead and conjugate oro for me. Okay, I'm going to leave this up here to help you. And I'm really, honestly, only going to give you 1 minute to do it. So as fast as you can get that down. Anybody want to come up to the board and do it for me? Oro. I'm just going to erase these so you can't look. But if you took notes, that'll help you. Okay, oro. Anybody want to do it on the board? No takers. You'd be on video forever on YouTube. So just in case you wanted to get on there and people can see who I'm talking to, I should just take this around and show them. Okay, so what's going to be in the first spot? Oro, right? Yep, the very first principal part. What's going to be next? Oros. Orat. Oramus. Oratus. Orant. Okay, there you have it. Okay, so do you feel like you can do this in the present tense? Hey, remember? So if you looked at this, oro, orare, I'm not going to write out the other ones because we're not dealing with them today. There's your first one. There's your stem. There's your stem vowel. Put it down, ora, 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 ora. And then what are our endings? O, S, T, mus, tis, unt. Okay? I'm moving on to imperfect tense. Okay? You get all 3 tenses in lesson 9. Okay, which is a lot. A lot. Okay, I'll just leave this up here. So, we're going back to laudo. Okay, now, does anybody know, remember we're going to have a stem. Laudo, what's our stem?
L-A-U-D.
L-A-U-D, loud. What's our stem vowel?
A.
Okay, so we're going to keep that. Loud, stem, stem vowel. 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 Okay, what is our imperfect tense sign? So when you see this, you know always you have the imperfect tense. Does anybody know what are the 2 letters that you're going to give me that will tell you we have imperfect tense? So when you're looking at the end of a sentence at your verb, you say, ooh, that's imperfect, because what 2 letters are in there? You know?
Ba.
Ba. Okay, B-A. Okay, so it goes in every place. B-A. That tells you you have imperfect tense. So far we have la da ba, 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 la da ba. What am I missing? Personal endings, right? And what are our personal endings? O or am, st, mus, tis, un. They're going to be the same here, except what am I going to use first? Am. Okay, so here's one of the cases where you're going to use that am first. Okay, so we're going to put am, then what do we have? Am, s, t, mus, tis, unt. Okay, same personal endings. You see that? So the only thing I added to get the imperfect tense was ba. Okay? Now, there is only going to be right for Henle. There's only one way to translate the imperfect tense. Okay? In other books, they're going to give you different choices. Imperfect means not perfect. Okay? Perfect in Latin means finished. Imperfect means not finished. So it's something in the past that happened and is maybe continuing to happen. Or it was habitually happening. Okay, the Romans were fighting. They might still be fighting, but they were definitely fighting in the past. So this is not comparable to the English past tense. Okay, this is kind of a continual past. Okay, so the 2 words you're going to use to translate the imperfect tense, okay, we're going to get, I think I'm going to get rid of this right now. Okay, is was or were. Okay, for imperfect tense. So, who can do number, I'm going around the table. Translate number 1 for me. You start.
I was praising.
I was praising.
You were praising.
You were praising. He, she, it was praising.
We were praising.
We were praising.
You were praising.
You all were praising.
They were praising.
They were praising. So either was or were. That's your only choice. Okay? So when you have, so let's recite this together. La da bomb. Ready? La da bomb, la da boss, la da bot, la da bombus, la da botus, la da bot. Okay? Was or were. Any questions about that? Okay, because we're moving right on to future tense. Okay? Okay, so future, I'm going to erase these again. I'm going to keep the stem and the stem vowel because you believe me that those are going to stay the same, right? I could actually keep the personal endings too, but we'll review those again. Okay, so for our future, we're going to have a different tense marker. Okay, so ba was imperfect tense. What is our future tense marker? Anybody?
Is it true?
No. Oh, that's passive. Hey, yay. Okay. Okay, so our future tense marker is bi. Okay, except not everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to stick a bi here, a bi here, bi here, and bi here. Okay? Bi, 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 bi. Now, a good way to remember this is will has an I, and so does bi. Okay? Ba has an A, and so does was. Okay, so if you can keep those two things in your mind, then that will help you to keep track of which one of these is future. Bi, will. Ba, was. Okay? All right, so here we just have to put bo. Okay, but now we have O. What am I going to put on? What's a personal ending? O, S, T, mus, tis, and then this is bunt. Okay? So bo, bis, bit, bimus, bitus, bunt. And you already knew this from foundations. But let's say it together. Ready? La da bo. La da bo, la da bis, la da bit, la da bimus, la da bitus, la da bunt. Okay? Can we, where did I leave off? Right? Okay, so how are we going to translate la da bo?
I will praise.
I will praise. Next person.
I do praise.
Actually, this is now second person. So this is I, this is you, this is he, she, it. Okay, you will praise, right. So I will praise, you will praise.
He, she, it will praise.
Yes. It's okay. No, that's fine. That's fine because it's good to know when somebody doesn't understand something, right? Because I didn't talk about person. I didn't say, you know, oh, I is the singular first person. But if you put yourself in a group, what do you get? We. Okay, so that'll be we. If you put you in a bunch of yous, what do you get?
Y'all.
Y'all.
Oh,
Okay.
y'all.
As we would say, y'all in Oklahoma. And then if you put a bunch of he's in a group, right, you'd get they. Okay? So, but I'm not putting the pressure on you because you can pass. Always in my class you can pass. Okay? Just pass. Okay, Heather, back to you.
That's we will praise.
We will praise.
You all will praise.
You all will praise.
They will praise.
Okay? So you see how this works? Okay? All right, now, if I want to do this for a second conjugation, okay? The only thing that's going to change between first conjugation and second conjugation, the only thing that's going to change is the stem vowel. Okay? So I want you to tell me what you think the stem vowel for second conjugation is going to be. And don't forget to learn all four principal parts when you're learning your verbs. Okay, what do you think your stem vowel is going to be? E, right? You went to the second principal part. And now how do we know that this is a second conjugation verb? Because the second principal part ends in E-R-E with a macron on the E. Okay, that's going to be very important that you know that E-R-E with a macron. Okay? Same. Okay, these aren't, they're very regular, not quite as regular. If they write out the principal parts in the book, it's an irregular verb. Otherwise, it's al, ere, ui, itus. But there are quite a few more irregularities in second conjugation. Okay? So do you notice that in this one, the E is part of your first principal part? Do you see that? So right here, we're going to make sure that we have moneo. Okay, so what's my next one going to be? For present tense. Put my stem down, M-O-N. I'm going to put my stem vowel, and then what's my second person singular personal ending? O-S, mones. Okay, what's this going to be? Monet. Okay, how about here? Mus, monemus, monetis, and monet. Okay? We can translate it. I warn, you warn, he, she, it warns. We warn, y'all warn, they warn. I am warning, you are warning, we are, he, she, it is warning. Okay? So, it's exactly the same. The only thing that changed is, I'm just trying to use only purple today. I really want another color, but it doesn't show up on the video. Stem vowel. Okay? All that's different. So now if I wanted to make this imperfect, what endings am I going to add for the imperfect tense? I'm going to take off my personal endings. And how do I know a verb is imperfect? What is our special tense sign? BA. Okay, ba. So we'll go bom, bos, bot, bomus, batis, bont. Excellent. And is there someone who'd like to translate this? Can you remember how to translate imperfect tense? What is the
Wasn't warned.
wasn't were? So how would you do it? It means warn.
I was warning.
Yes.
You were warning. He, she, it was warning.
Yes.
We were warning.
Yes.
You all were warning. They were warning.
Bam. Got it. See how that worked? Very well done. Okay. How about if we want to make this future tense? What are we going to do? What should I take off? Anybody? Okay, we don't want the ba because that tells us imperfect tense, so we want to get rid of that. Okay, and what are our future endings? We did BI, okay? BI. Remember, we can't put it first, but we can put it in those places. What's the first one? Bow, bis, bit, bimus, bitis, and what's the last one? Bunt. Excellent. And how would somebody else now translate this for me? In the future tense, how shall we translate this?
I will.
I will, so go. It means warn.
I will what?
Warn.
I will warn. Oh, all of them?
Yeah.
He, she, or it will warn.
Okay, so I will warn, then the second person,
Oh, you.
yep, you will
You will
warn.
warn. And then
There you
he,
go.
she, it will warn.
Good. Somebody else do plural. Go ahead. Can you do it for me?
We will warn.
Good.
You all will warn. They will warn.
Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to put a bunch of words up there. Okay, so get some paper, and I want you to see if you can do what I did at the very beginning. Okay, was able to look at each word and write down person, number, tense. Okay, remember? So person is either 1, 2, 3, number is either singular, plural, and tense, we only know 3 right now, present, imperfect, or future. Okay, so I'm going to put a bunch of words up there. Let's see. Now you might not know what these words mean, and that's okay. Okay? All you have to do is put down person, number, tense. Let me try to get the word to know. Okay, so do that for me. Go through and just mark on there person, number, tense, and then we'll then be able to translate it once you do that. Okay, so let me just give you a little clue here. Look at the ending. Okay, so you want to look at the ending of this word. You don't see any ba or bo or bis, you just see an nt. So that kind of tells you person, number, and tense. Here you have a bimus. Okay, mus tells you what person and number, bi tells you the tense. Do you see how that goes? Batis, tis tells you person, number, ba tells you the tense. Okay, so now I'm going to be quiet so you can work. Now, if you were to forget how to do this, where could you look?
Chart on page 44 and 45.
Okay, thank you. No, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. On page 44 and page 45 of your grammar book are kind of your models for each conjugation. And if I were you, I would write on top of each one, laudo first, moneo second, mito third, audio fourth. Okay, they don't do that in the book, so you don't know that these are the models for each of those different conjugations. Okay, and only laudo do they write out the meanings, but it carries across for each of the conjugations. It's the same. So first conjugation, second, third, fourth. Okay, that's what those page 44 and 45 mean, those different conjugations. And then on those pages, you'll see the present tense, imperfect tense, and the future tense. Okay, so can somebody give me an answer to any one of these? Kelly, go for it.
Okay, so I guess habent.
Okay, habent.
Third person, plural, perfect tense.
And what'd you say?
And the perfect, sorry, present.
Okay,
tense.
present tense.
Sorry.
Yes. No, you're fine. Present tense, third plural present. So when they say give me the forms, that's what they mean. Okay, and then they're going to say translate. So how would we translate habent? What does habeo mean? Anybody remember habeo? Okay, it means to have. Okay, so if we know it means to have, how would I translate habent? So third person plural is what person in English? They, right? And then just stick that meaning in, they have. Okay, they have, or they are having, or they do have. Okay, how about lauda bimus? Anybody have that? Go for it, for me.
First person plural future.
Okay, so first, plural, future. Excellent. So now, how are you going to translate it? So first person plurals, what's our English pronoun? We, okay.
Future shall, we will, or we shall.
Yeah.
Is it will or shall?
Well, I just use will all the time,
Okay,
but
will, great.
because we don't say in English shall.
Shall, okay.
but you'll notice the grammar book does have shall for I and we. Okay, but I just use will. Okay, we will praise. But you do whatever you want to do. You do you. Okay, we will praise. Okay, anybody have one more they want to do? No, that's okay, because I'm going to go on. Okay, it is imperative. Imperative what? Like I'm commanding you that you have to read 9 and 10. There are things in there that I did not cover. For instance, how to form a question in Latin. Okay, in this lesson 9 is going to introduce 2 different ways to form questions. I did not teach you that because I just knew I wouldn't have time today. But I will ask you, I'm going to put some sentences on the board next time that will use questions. Okay, so remember now, when you go to translate a Latin sentence, start with a verb. Okay, 99% of the time, if the verb does not end in T or NT, that is your subject. Okay, so if it ends in O or S or mus or tis, your subject is either I or we or you. Okay, you're looking for another subject when it's a third person verb, whether singular or plural. Okay, so you want to look at that verb first, because if it is like oratis, your subject is you pray. Okay, if it is laudabo, what's your subject for laudabo? I. That's your subject. It might say I the king, but it's like it's such an exception that, you know, you're mostly not, if you end up with one, you're like, what am I going to do with this? Then you say, oh, well, is it in a nominative case? But most of the time, you're only looking for another subject when the verb ends in T or NT. Okay? That is really helpful, and that's why you're going to look at the verb first. So you're not making something, because as you have seen from your declension chart, often the nominative and accusative have the same endings. So you can't count on knowing if that's a subject or a direct object. But if you see in your verb that it's a first or second person, you can just assume that's a direct object and not a subject. Okay? So I'll keep reminding you about that. Anyway, feel free to ask me any questions anytime.